Isn't that illegal?
This is a response to Capn Awesome's Atheist Jihad. First off, Violet Kitty. So, despite being upset that he started an Atheist Jihad, which is just the name that he's given it to be controversial, let's actually see what he asked people to do. All we need to do is make fun of you and your beliefs. So, have you got a problem with that? Why have you got a problem? It's just a joke. If you couldn't respond to us, then you might say that we're picking on you and you're being victimised. But you can respond. You can do exactly the same thing. And you have done exactly the same thing. You've done exactly the same thing yourself. So, this making fun of you. We can laugh at you because you love Jesus. Ha 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 ha! That's probably the most ridiculous thing about you. We can laugh at you because you've got an extremely bad singing voice. That comes a close second. But I've been looking at a few of your videos, not many because it takes a strong stomach, and I don't see your problem. Because in the Jesus Freak video, which started all this, you said that this kind of thing doesn't bother you. So why have you set up a similar kind of video called What Burns My Cookies, complaining about it? In the Jesus Freak video, Violet Kitty says this about people who ridicule her. I'm quoting her directly. I'm not hurt. In all honesty, you've done exactly what was promised you would do, which was ridicule me for my faith. So thank you. Violet Kitty said thank you when people ridiculed her. So she actually thanks people for that. So what is the problem? We've set up an Atheist Jihad. We just want more thanks. So we give you more ridicule. So going back to the source of the problem, these statistics that Capn Awesome posted, Violet Kitty says in her video, the poll saying that 84% of people in America are Christian is wrong, because only 33% of people go to church, only 2 out of those 3 really get it, and only a few of those are actually evangelists. So I think the statistic that she gives was only 7% of Americans are what she would regard as true Christians, and this is why she's saying it's a persecuted minority, which is bullshit, because she's saying, by inference she's saying that of the 84% of people who said they're Christians, and these polls have a margin of error and it ain't 77% margin of error, the 77% of those 84, which 84 minus her 7% evangelist is 77, those 77% aren't really Christians. No wonder all the other Christians are pissed off with her as well. Now I'm an atheist, obviously, but I know people who believe in Jesus, and most of them don't go to church. I live in the UK. Hardly anybody goes to church in the UK. And these people who don't go to church would be immensely offended if they heard someone saying that because they weren't evangelists, they weren't real Christians. It's not the evangelists, these true Christians, who are being persecuted. It's the ordinary Christians who are, you know, they're just happy to go about their lives and just be Christians, believe in Christ. It's those 77% that Violet Kitty says aren't really Christians, because they don't go to church, or they don't get it, or even if they do, they aren't evangelists. Wake up! The Pope, is he an evangelist? He's not part of the evangelist church, he's part of the Catholic Church. Are you seriously telling me that the Pope and all the billion Catholics in the world aren't really Christians. I do not think so. Evangelism, it's Christianity, but it's just another sect in the Christian faith. It's drawn up its own definition for Christianity, like all the other sects, and their version of it is, you have to do it this way or you're not a true Christian. But that's what all the other sects say as well. So obviously it's like all the other religions say something different. They can't all be right. Instead of distancing yourself from other Christians, Violet Kitty, instead of saying that your particular 7%, the evangelists, the so-called true Christians, again inverted commas, instead of saying they're being victimised in some way, you should be thinking that you are part of the 84%, the majority, the Christians who basically believe what you believe, all the Jesus stuff, all the Bible, all that. You're part of the majority. Instead, you're being all moany about being in a minority. In the USA, according to that poll, and as I say, these polls have a margin of error, but it ain't that big. 84% of people in that poll said they were Christian. Just be grateful for it. In the UK, 84% of people, I don't know if it's 84% in the UK actually, but it's a large percentage, say that they're Christian. But you look around for some evangelists, there's about 100 of them. And 50% of them are Americans on holiday. So just be lucky that you're in a country where there's 7% evangelists. It's about 0.001% in this country. Are you saying that everybody in this country is not a true Christian? Back to this atheist jihad. What's the worst thing you could possibly do if you want more people to ridicule you? Why not? You must have thought this. Why not create your own video on exactly the same subject, asking for people for their opinions on the original poster? And obviously, these opinions are going to be negative ones. Otherwise, you're not going to ask for their opinions if they're going to be supporting Capn Awesome. You know that these people are going to ridicule Capn Awesome. You know that they're going to say nasty things about him. In other words, you have called on your subscribers to ridicule Capn Awesome's opinions. And today's word, children, this program is brought to you by today's word, which is hypocrite. Repeat it after me. Hypocrite. Violet Kitty posted a video saying that she doesn't preach to anybody. So her friends have now posted replies and said that she is the least preachy person they know, that she never tries to convert anyone on anybody, ever. She doesn't preach. She isn't preachy. Hold on a minute. She's not preachy. Isn't that what an evangelist should be doing? Violet Kitty, you're not being preachy. You're not being preachy enough. You should be preaching. You should be trying to convert people. What do you think an evangelist is? What do you think evangelism means? Look it up in the dictionary. It means preaching the gospel and proselytizing, which is converting people to your faith. So you're not being preachy. That means you're not evangelizing. That means you, Violet Kitty, are not an evangelist. What does that mean? If you're not an evangelist, you're not a true Christian. If you're not a true Christian, you're not in the 7% anymore. You're in the 77% who say they're Christians but aren't really Christians. Violet Kitty, by your own words and by the words of your posters who have witnessed your non-preaching, you are not a Christian, not a true Christian. If you're not a true Christian, you're not a Christian at all. You know what that means, don't you? When you die, You're not going up there. You'll be going down there.
Isn't that illegal?
Censor your kids' ideas. Censor your child's inspiration. Censor all that. Expect a really heavy return spring, because you know what? That kid's going to turn her on you, and you're never, ever going to have a part of his life again.
Casting off the chains of the world.
But enough about me.